Okay, I'm just having a look at a few messages. So, last minute request for this one. I've had an email from someone, well, telephone call first of all, and then several emails from someone yesterday, and they want to do the photo reading before the end of this year. So I've explained that I ran my final class a couple of weeks ago. They said, is it at all possible that I could run another one? I said, to do it at this late stage, I would need at least 3 people, ideally 4 or 5, to make it worthwhile in terms of the time to run it and the venue hire and ordering the course materials, etc. So they have then emailed me back. So they say, any luck? Has anyone else come forward? So I just thought I would put it out there and see if there's anyone who wants to do a last minute photo reading course to close out the year. Now, they sent me a very interesting email. So I was just looking to see if I could find it when this was said, we're now live. Let me just see if I can find it. I'm just going to read you a little bit of it, because they've done the other option. They're starting it online. Is this the one? Yeah, I'm very thrilled with the online course. I did not think it would be so good, and I'm not missing the physical product I never had, which just made me really, really laugh. They're talking about the in-depth explanations. I've also given them access to a year's free year of Paraliminal, so they get the full 61 set Paraliminal library. So they're saying they've now got access to that on their phone, and I really love what they do. They said, the second part of the class is mouth-wateringly wonderful, that I want to listen to it over and over again before proceeding. So it's just fantastic, absolutely amazing. And they still want to do it in person. They're like, this is great, and can we do it in person? Oh, can we do it next week? So for those of you watching this in real time, the dates are going along the bottom in terms of the ticker tape. So I'm talking about this month, November 22nd to the 24th. So we do a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, typically Friday afternoon, then all day Saturday, all day Sunday. So we're looking at either the 22nd of November to the 24th. It's just there, just below there, or we're looking at the 6th. I'm going to make sure that's right. The 6th to the 8th of Friday the 6th to Sunday the 8th of December. So if you would like to learn how to photo read, and you can make either of those dates, they're very keen to do it next week. So I said, look, I'm going to send something to my email newsletter list. Decided I might as well do a live about it as well, just see if anyone's interested. I've never used the screen share. I'm going to see if I can screen share. I've got no idea if this is going to work. Actually, I might go to my Facebook page and just see what you can see, and just see if it's actually working, or if you're going to be looking at a blank screen. Hold on. So if this works, you should be looking up. So I've just set up a booking page for this, where I've got some testimonials that go across the top, and I've had people from all ages. The youngest attendee was age 7. The most mature, I'm going to guess that he was pushing up to his mid 80s. I'm just looking at my screen now. I don't think you can see what I'm looking at, because it says I'm doing a screen share, but I don't actually think it's screen sharing, unless there's a bit of a time delay with regards to this. But I have set up a page. The URL is at the bottom of this also. And let me go back, so I don't think you can see my screen. So let me go take myself back to this app. So with regards to the booking page, it's coming across the bottom of the ticker tape any second now. And it's a bit of a mouthful, but I will add it maybe to the description of this video, or I should put it into the comments. It's www.zylvie.com/Marilyn Devonish -P for Peter /photo reading workshop. There is a bit.ly link. I really should have maybe added the bit.ly link instead. It's much shorter. But if you want any further information, if you want some details about that, then please feel free. I can see here. I think I found what you have to do. Hold on, let me see. Oh yes. All right, so that's what we're looking at. So I've set up this booking page. I've figured it out now. because I was like, why doesn't it work? It says it's sharing, it says it, and then I've noticed another little button in the corner. It's user error, nothing to do with the software. Nothing, it's my error, not Be Live. So you can see here, I've set up a booking page. I've also added some of the testimonials. People say they feel younger using it in, excuse me, using it in ways you wouldn't expect. How are people going to believe that something as simple as photo reading could be so amazing? People learning everything they were told they were going to learn. Photo reading 8 books in 1 hour. That's Naomi Tamayama, single mother, entrepreneur, 11-year-old, saying it's absolutely changed her life. Someone had the confidence to go for a new career as a lawyer with regards to photo reading. Team of rocket scientists, amazing, incredible feedback from them. Used it for things like interviews, anxiety, getting focused, public speaking, presentation skills, using the mind and brain more effectively, being able to think on your feet. One of my clients, JFD, do it. You can figure that one out. So I've added some of the testimony. There was a 16-year-old who's like really not wanting to be there that much, and she said, look, by the time she left at the end of that 2.5 days, she was positive, she was open-minded, and saying if it can work for a grumpy 16-year-old, it can work for anyone. And it really does what it says on the tin, which is, learning how to photo read at 25,000 words per minute, getting through whole books from start to finish in just 5 minutes, and then learning strategies to remember. This is a team of rocket scientists from Cranfield University, and then learning strategies to be able to remember and recall what it is you've actually read. So there you have it. Now let me see what happens when I go to the So when I go to that page, I think if I move my screen, you might see that. So if you do, I'll tell you what I'm looking at just in case it's not doing the same thing on screen. But I've added just a few of the, oh, it is, yeah, I can see it's working. Woohoo! I've added a few of the testimonial videos from clients who have taken the photo reading. I've given you a view of some of those feedback forms for yourself. People saying it's excellent. What did you like best about the program? Everything. What did you like best? Opens up endless possibilities. So come and have a watch of these. Some of the things that you can do. Getting through a whole book in less than 10 minutes, reading more easily, better understanding, improving your comprehension, memory, sharpen your concentration, increase your productivity. If you're learning personal development, the video that is there from the wonderful Penny Kroll, she basically says, whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're thinking of doing, whatever courses you have planned, do the photo reading first, because it will help you with everything else. So that's that first video there. What else have we got? We've got a client here that it's very noisy because we just happened to be at the same event, and I was walking past and Geraldine was telling someone about photo. She said, oh, there's Marilyn, she runs it. And so it's really noisy because we're at the London Yes group, and she was saying her reading is 10,000 times faster. She's a management consultant, so has a lot of information data that she needs to keep up with. This is Dr. Cosfantis. Some of you will know of Dr. Cos for the thing that we did together for the Limitless course. He's a doctor, a real doctor, trained in Linewells in Scotland, and he was studying to be a neurosurgeon. He came to the PhotoReading Workshop, was absolutely blown away, and so we ran a workshop together, Limitless Neuro Success, where he talked about it from a neuro science point of view, and really explain the underpinnings of what I was doing with the photo reading and also with the personal development and the esoteric stuff, because we have some extra nuances on the photo reading workshop as well. Erica Brodnott saying she learned everything she was told she would learn, the lovely Magdalena. So, and then you've got some of the testimonials here as well, so you can kind of read them for yourself rather than trying to catch them on the ticker tape. This is from the team of rocket scientists at Cranfield University, the Shrivenham Army Base. This is not the type of feedback I would be expecting from military. Stimulating, valuable, highly recommended, professional, excellent, enlightening, fun, relaxing, motivating, time well spent. Should be given to all first-year PhD students, because I went to Shrivenham to run a bespoke photo reading workshop for them, and I was surprised because if you've got this, seriously, PhDs, masters, you name it, they've got qualifications coming out of their ears. And when you're a rocket scientist for the military, you know how to learn. So when I first turned up, it was a bit like, really, this little young whippersnapper is going to be telling us how to learn more effectively? Blew their minds. And this would be a good point to mention it. Yes, we've had the rocket scientists. Yes, we've had the doctors, the surgeons, the accountants, the lawyers, all of that. Wonderful. I also have people who have dyslexia, dyspraxia. I've even had people with brain damage come along. We're not making any kind of healing claims. I'm just sharing with you some of the experiences we've had, everything in between. And you don't need to have any prior knowledge. This was from a school where I ran photo reading modules for them. This is from the deputy head, the lovely Barry Birch, and he's saying Queen's Park Community Schools, as part of Brent's full service extended school, has worked closely with Marilyn Devonish of Transformations for over 3 years. We've partnered with Marilyn, offering creative and innovative teaching in order to raise the quality of teaching and learning. The 3 courses Marilyn have delivered have been to 2 cohorts of 25 year 7 and year 8 gifted and talented students, and a smaller group of 6th formers as an enhancement. For their PHSCE course, photo reading uses NLP techniques which are stimulating and motivating to students. She combines relaxation methods and a study skills approach to accelerate learning in an enjoyable manner. It's been years since I've read this. How lovely. He's lovely. Marilyn is an excellent teacher who is able to motivate and stimulate her students. Her classes were very popular, and the fact they were continually well attended speaks volumes for their efficacy. Because trust me, you got 25 8-year-olds, if they don't want to do something, they're really not going to be doing it, because this is in their enrichment times. They can choose what they do. As someone who spent a lot of time in the lessons, it was impressive to see a real joy of learning and discovery so beautifully combined. This is really lovely, with a real sense of purpose and lots of fun. We continue to work with Marilyn and also to tell others of the pioneering work she is doing. I'm grateful for our extended services funding stream to allow us to fly the kite with this course, and would recommend it to others. Indeed, I recently hosted a learning visit by 16 other schools to Queen's Park Community School as part of our specialist schools work, and had no hesitation in asking Marilyn to do a workshop for them. The evaluation gave her an 80% rating of excellent. And then the website, if you want to just see the background, a bit more background to photo reading, you can go to transformationstm.com/photo reading. That's TRANCE, F for Freddie, so FORMATIONS TM.com/photo reading. So yeah, and this is one of the clients, they were studying to be an accountant, really struggling. And then within a couple of weeks of doing, because it was taking them a month just to get through a textbook, they got it down to hours in terms of reading the book and doing the multiple choice test. So it's a really beautiful letter. I won't read the whole thing to you. This is from Kay, who had brain damage. She'd been in a near fatal plane crash many years before. Her partner was unfortunately killed in that crash, and she was left with just brain impairment. She knew she wasn't herself, but still functioning to the outside world, but she knew what it took to maintain that. And this was just the day after the photo reading. She had a blow away experience, but she said, your photo reading course has really changed everything, Marilyn. My brain feels rewired. And I've written a whole blog about that, because the doctor who attended, they were in a light aircraft that went down in a field, and the doctor that attended that crash site and saved Kay's life, a bit like something from a movie, he wrote a blog about it. And so I've shared, and he shared the photograph of the field. So Kay wrote a blog for me as well, so I can add the link somewhere in the description. Now, this was from a marketing specialist. I was like, great, somebody who's a marketer, they can help me put the photo reading into words, because it just blows people's minds. They always say, if I knew it was this, I would have come years ago. So I've got this marketer, that's all they do, that's their work, that's their life, that's their career. I said, right, what can I say to put photo reading into words? This is what they said. I see your issue with marketing. How to get people to believe all the changes with something so seemingly simple as photo reading. A good dilemma. That was it. So it didn't really solve my dilemma, but again, they were like, I can't, it's just fabulous. So yeah, come and have a little read. I've put a couple of videos in. This was a family of 5 that flew in from Europe, and they sent me an email from the airport saying just wanted to send you a big heartfelt thank you for the wonderful past 3 days at the photo reading seminar. All 5 of us have very much enjoyed it, and the kids feel super grateful for all they learned on photo reading. Now, one of their children was really shy. One of their son was a gamer, professed to have ADHD, didn't really want to kind of, and he said that afterwards, he said photo reading was like a spiritual mental massage, and of course showed him how to integrate that in a way that would enhance his gaming. And so this was from the person who, a few years after they attend the photo reading, they just sent me a message out of the blue, and they said, I've changed paths. I'm practicing law thanks to photo reading. It gave me the confidence to read a lot of material in a short time and retain it. Those law exams are no joke. So if you're a student, of course, it's perfect for that. If you're in work, you're in a profession where it's required for you to learn, for you to develop, for you to grow, for you to progress, maybe for you to go to promotion, for you to build new skills, it's absolutely perfect for that. And for those of you like myself, coaches, therapists, consultants, trainers, etc., it's just fantastic for being able to assimilate information and data, make sense of it, and then create from there. And that's the thing that Naomi Tamayama was saying in terms of going through 8 books in 1 hour and then being able to create a piece of work from that. And someone else said, I just, thank you for the photo reading. You are fabulous. My brain doesn't feel like doing stuff that needs to be done, yet I find myself getting on with things. Brilliant. So if you're someone who suffers from procrastination, this was Lee Prycroft. Some of you might have remember America's Next Top Model, created by Tyra Banks. Well, a few years after that was Britain and Ireland's Next Top Model, and Lee Prycroft ran the makeup team that did all of that fabulous makeup. So Lee was very much behind the scenes. I say was, when she did the photo reading. And she said, photo reading definitely shows up in unexpected ways. I did a screen test the other day and mind mapped the whole thing. The feedback I got was, Lee, you were brilliant. Lee now is a therapist, a speaker, all sorts of things. I saw something a couple of months ago from her on Instagram. I was like, oh my God. So yes, and this was from Mark, very direct. I'll leave you to work that one out. And I did a little video. This is from many, many years ago. But I did a summary of the types of people that have attended the photo reading class in terms of job titles, demographics, etc. As I said, it's been everyone from accountants, lawyers, surgeons, doctors to crystal healers. Sometimes people just want to fall back in love with reading and use their brain more effectively and tap into that kind of Bradley Cooper limitless effect type of thing. And then there's some information here about photo reading, some further written testimonials. I just saw one from a barrister there. And seriously, it's just mind-blowing. And this one, he says, talking about Bradley Cooper. This was well before I was doing anything about Bradley Cooper. But he said the benefits of photo reading are just limitless. Every time I use it, I find something else. When I booked to come on the course, I thought it was just speed reading. And that I was just going to improve my reading speed. It's something else. Maybe it's a combination of the HUNA and the timeline therapy that you do. And now we do access consciousness as well as a bonus on the first night. It's an incredible experience. It has certainly changed my outlook, as it can come into play in so many different ways. Now I see it as being an integral part of my life. In court preparation, because people often ask about detail. So he says in court preparation is key. Now, when I photo read, the keywords and information all come up in front of me. I felt like I didn't need to go back and look at it. The whole book was in my head. I haven't needed to pick it up again. It's like being in a computer. You do a search and it's all there. And he's a barrister and head of chambers in London. And if you're not in that kind of high pressure environment, just imagine what it could do for you if somebody in that kind of situation is getting those types of results. So, yeah. So come have a scroll. As I said, I've added some of the, now this was an old offer, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinstate that. So if you're booking, in the next couple of days. I will also, because if I've done it for one person, I have to offer it for everyone else. It's only fair. So I'm going to set up 12 months free access to the Paraliminal library, the Mind Tracks app. The paraliminals are amazing, and there are paraliminals on every single subject you could think about: health, well-being, weight loss, sleep, motivation, money, abundance, sales, love, happiness, you name it, relaxation, meditation. There is something for everyone. The paraliminals, you need your headphones, because paraliminal technology, there's one thing happening in the left, another happening in the right. You've got the holosync technology that runs through the middle. I always say the paraliminals are an easy way to change. So you'll get 12 months. You can purchase it. It's $99, and I'll probably do a bit of a Black Friday deal in a couple of days. But if you don't want to spend the $99, you'll get it free for 12 months when you book on the PhotoReading Workshop. So and then I've added a Q&A. Yeah, and then there's a summary down here. Whew, I think that's it. I think I have covered everything. And yeah, ping me an email, Marilyn at transformationstm.com. I've added the link. There's a free 12-page brochure you can download as well. It's one that Learning Strategies created a few years ago. So I've put the download link there at the bottom as well. But yeah, what can I say? What can I say? It's fabulous. Photo reading is amazing. It was an absolute game changer for me, because I was diagnosed with what was thought to be early onset Alzheimer's in my 20s. My doctor said there was nothing he could do for me. So I said, well, can you at least write? I was studying to be a chartered accountant with the ACCA. And I said, I'm sitting there in exams. I'm just looking at, it takes me so long to get my brain in gear. So my doctor wrote a letter to the ACCA explaining the situation, and to see if they could give me a bit of extra time in the exam. So I was the person who'd either arrive 30 minutes earlier or stay 30 minutes after everyone had gone, because things were so bad. And when I got the brochure through my door, because I think they probably still do occasionally, but back in the day, Learning Strategies would send a lot of stuff out in the post, and I had gotten onto their list because I purchased something from Nightingale Conant, who were the juggernauts of the industry in terms of personal development and tape cassettes, all of that sort of stuff. I purchased something from Jay Abraham, who is still a marketing guru. And so I'm on the list. So I get the thing about photo reading, and it said, would you like to drink in information like you're drinking it in through a fire hose, and remember and recall what you've read? And I was like, yes, yes, yes. Because with the early onset Alzheimer's stuff, you could tell me something, I could nod at my head and I could hear what you were saying, and then by the time you walked off, I'm like, what the hell did they say? Terrible, absolutely terrible, devastating. So I was like, yes, please. And then it said, photo read at 25,000 words per minute. And I remember thinking to myself, look, I would be happy to read at 500 words per minute and just remember what the heck I've read. So this 25, and then of course I thought that's got to be a bit of a fad. Who the hell's going to read at 25,000 words per minute? What does that even mean? And then when they said you could get through whole books in 5 minutes and learn strategies to remember and recall what you've read, I was like, okay, this has got to be some kind of crazy, just crazy marketing hype. But I gave them a couple of £100, purchased the cassette tapes, which you can still see on the shelf behind me there, and then did nothing with them. I just put them on the shelf. That's how I came up with the term shelf development, because I just didn't do anything with them. They just sat there, because I actually couldn't believe. I mean, I listened to one of the tapes, but I just couldn't believe it could be true. How could this be possible? Here's me struggling to remember what day it is, and here's these tapes telling me that I can photo read at 25,000 words per minute and get through a book in 5 minutes and learn strategies to remember and recall what I'd read. It was just like, it's too much for my brain to comprehend, quite frankly. So they sat on the shelf for 2 years. I purchased them in 1998. And it wasn't until the year 2000 when I ended up on the NLP course, personal development. Really struggled with the open book test. I had it all summer, had the books, had the cassette tapes, still couldn't answer those questions. My mind was too mushed. And when I handed that test in, apparently behind the scenes, they're like, who is Marilyn Devonish? She must be lazy or stupid, because what the hell is this? I know that because I then worked for them later, the following year. And they were just like, okay, we've got problems here. And that was in the October 2000. The person running the course was quoting facts, figures, names, dates, places, case studies, all that sort of stuff. And somebody said, how do you remember this stuff? And he said, I photo read. David Shepherd. He said, I photo read. And he pointed to the back of the room, to the resource table. And sure enough, there were the cassette tapes that I had sitting on my shelf gathering dust. And once I got over myself, because I'd only gone to that workshop to get my money back, I wasn't interested in personal development. I thought it was a load of nonsense. That I'd kind of been duped into it, because I just went to improve my communication skills, because I was very quiet and very shy. And so I thought, realized, because I thought, if I'm an accountant, I won't have to talk to people. Realized pretty quickly, if you're going to be a decent accountant, you need to at least talk to your clients and ideally look them in the eye. Otherwise, you come across as a little bit shifty. So I just went, and I thought I signed up for a communication skills course. Didn't realize it was full on personal development. So I actually did try to get a refund. And they said, come to the training. If you don't get massive value, we'll give you your money back at the end. So I just was like, I was just hopping mad. So I just went to get my money back. But as I got into it and thought, well, put your money where your mouth is, let me prove to you that this is all nonsense. Because this was October 2000. In the September 2000, I contemplated suicide. That's how bad things were in terms of what was going on with my brain, with my health, with my mindset. It was hitting critical mass. And I just thought the easiest thing to do is just end it now. So that's the state I was in when I did. And that's partly also why I didn't want to do the training, because I wasn't in a good place emotionally. But my main thing was, I've paid several £1,000s for what I thought was going to be a super duper fandango. Sorry, I'm thinking of, is that Queen, isn't it? Thunderbolts and lightning. For what I thought was going to be a wonderful communication skills course. And now you're trying to tell me about hypnosis and timeline therapy and Huna? Get out of here. Give me my money. But partway through, I thought I better just do what they tell me to do. Otherwise, they're not going to give me my refund. They'll just say I didn't play full out, which was another one of the platitudes, so I thought. So anyway, when I got over myself and I decided I actually was quite into this, it was interesting, it was fascinating, and I could feel myself changing from the inside out, I decided I'd go back and do the master practitioner, which was a mere 2.5 weeks later. The test, if I thought practitioner was hard in terms of the test, which was open book, I was doing it at home, I had several weeks to do it and I still couldn't do it. I had 2.5 weeks to do the humongous test for master practitioner. And I'm in the middle of studying to be a chartered accountant. And the exams were in December, 2 weeks after I finished I think it was 2 weeks after I finished the master prac. So I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? I'm never going to be able to do this. I just don't have the time. And based on my previous test, clearly I don't have the brain power for it either. So panic mode. And I was like, hold on a minute. So I've just been in this room for 7 days watching this man on stage be fluent. He had the course manual on a music stand on the front, but he wasn't reading. He was just using it for reference. Occasionally he would turn the page, have a quick look. But basically he wasn't reading anything. And I've just sat here for 7 days and listened to all of this flow. And he says that he photo reads, and he said he reads 20 to 30 books a month. Now, when he said that initially, I leaned to the person I was sitting next to. I didn't know her very well. She's now a very good friend. Some of you know Gina. When he said he reads 20 to 30 books a month, I leaned over to her and said, well, he obviously doesn't get out much, because who in their right mind is reading 20 to 30 books a month if you've got a life? I wasn't reading that many books in a year. And many students don't read that many books in a year. They'll read what's on the reading list if they get around to it. But, so that was like hardcore. And I know that's true, because then when I worked for him, I'd go up in the office and there was a desk. You walk up the stairs, you kind of turn to the left a bit, and the desk is right there. And in front of the desk, just piles and piles and piles of books. So he was telling the truth. So I decided then, okay, I've got 2.5 weeks. This massive test that I completely failed first time round, I'm going to use the photo reading. And that's what I did. And I also was getting into the timeline stuff. So I put a goal in my future timeline that with the master practitioner test, I would pass with flying colours, have no corrections. Because with the practitioner test, I was going home with that test every single night. It was full of red pen and corrections. It was a nightmare because I was getting home at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. Then I'm working on that blasted test until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I had to be out on the train at about 6:45 in the morning because they did morning sessions at 8 a.m. and it was a nightmare. One of the things I was struggling with is my health and with my energy, as well as the brain and the mindset and the focus and the confusion and all the suicidal stuff and the anxiety and you name it. So it was another thing to contend with. So I'm like, oh my God, can't go through that again. So I just went home and I listened to the tapes first of all. Marilyn, shut your mouth, open your ears, don't act like you know everything, even because I had a degree at that point. I had a postgraduate marketing diploma from the Chartered Institute of Marketing before my brain was addled by the medical treatment gone wrong. I was pretty academic, so I knew how to learn. I was like, what are you going to try and do? Tangerine? What are you, get out of here? So I just couldn't get my head around. I was like, Marilyn, close your mouth, open your mind, open your ears, just listen and put it into practice. And that's exactly what I did. Just listened along, put it into practice, listen, put it into practice, listen, put it into practice. That's what I did. By the time I went back 2.5 weeks later, handed in my test, I think there were 65 of us on Master Prac. I think I was the only person who had 0 corrections, and they assigned me the goosebumps. Oh my God. They assigned me the same coach, Marianne Diaz. Some of you might know Marianne Diaz because she was the most experienced coach in the room. And my test was so much work last time, so much remedial stuff done, so much coaching, all the rest of it. And so they gave my test to Marianne because she was there on the practitioner. She also did the Master Prac. And I said in the goal I put in my future timeline, it's going to say good job, well done, and 100%. So everybody's getting their test handed out, and you see, the groans and the or so I'm like, oh yeah, I got most of it right. Marianne handed me my test, and it said something like good job, well done, and a tick. And as I was flicking through, there were no corrections. And I'm looking, and I'm like, oh my God, in 2.5 weeks, I went from worst in class in terms of my test to best in class. Now, you might go, that's a fluke. That was in end of November, pushing into beginning of December 2000. In May 2001, having fallen in love with NLP and all the rest of it, I decided to do my NLP trainers training. It's a 3-week training. Various things are happening along the way, and it culminates in a written test. One day, full day, I think it was a good 7-8 hours, closed book exam conditions. Having had the success with the master practitioner test, which I did at home, it's a different ball game when you've got all the books and the cassette tapes and all the rest of it. I put a goal in my future timeline. I'm going to finish this 7-8 hour test in 3 hours, and I'm going to pass with flying colors. I turn up, and then I didn't do any revision. Well, I did, but not in the traditional way you would think. I just photo read everything, did some mind maps, did some photo reading, end of story. I turn up at the hotel in Kensington Olympia, the Hilton. It's still there. I was there a couple of months ago, did a bit of filming in there for nostalgia purposes, just doing a little walkthrough of where it all went down. So I arrive at the hotel, I walk in, and people are just sitting all over the place. They got their folders open, they got those little cards, I think, these full of notes, all the rest of it, and they're revising and they're memorizing stuff and they're trying to cram. And somebody looked at me as I walked in and said, Marilyn, how do you do a submodalities belief change? I looked at them, they looked at me, and I just burst into tears because I didn't know. And I was like, and then I ran into the toilets. Now, one of the people who is in my group, Deborah Price, she saw me. And she saw I look up there. She follows me into the ladies' toilet. She said, what's going on? Are you all right? What's happened? And I said, oh my God. And I'm doing the Oprah ugly cry. And I said, I've been an idiot. I didn't revise. I just photo read. Somebody asked me a question. I don't know the answer. What am I going to do? I'm going to fail. And if you fail, trainers training, what are we talking about there? £5,000-6,000? A lot of money. I passed everything else up to that point, the practicals and the test sessions and the teaching sessions and all the rest of it and the group sessions. However, if you fail the written exam, you fail everything. And I'd have to then do the whole thing again the following year. So I'm in the toilet crying, doing the Oprah ugly cry. People are coming in, they're sort of sheepishly looking like, well, what's going on? They flushed the toilet, and it's like, as people are flushing the toilet, I actually could almost see all of my money going down the drain. I'm like, what was I thinking? And this is like half an hour before the exam. So, you leave your bags and all the rest of it, you take your pen, sit down, they hand out the first paper, and everybody, it's you can't turn it over, and then everybody's getting themselves settled, and I'm still heaving. And then I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I've got a couple of choices here. Door number one, I could just cry all day, and I think that'd be really annoying for everyone else. Door number two, I can beat myself up. What an idiot I have been for trusting this thing called photo reading. Or door number three, I could do what I've been practicing at home, get myself into the accelerated learning state, what you call the flow state, and just do the exam. I went for door number three. And the rest, as they say, is history. You do a paper, you hand it in, you do a paper, you hand it in, you do a paper, you hand it in. At one point I went to the toilet, one of the invigilators follows you, so you try to pee quietly because you can see the shadow standing outside the door. Went back into the exam room and, writing away, handed a paper in, and no one came back to give me my next paper. So I'm kind of looking around. In the end, I put my hand up. Sally Davis, some of you might know her, we're still connected on Facebook. Sally came back and I said, oh, can I have the next paper, please? She says, you're done, hun, as in you're finished, honey. I was like, oh. And then I had visions that at that time there was an episode of Mr. Bean with Rowan Atkinson where he's doing an exam. And so he's doing this exam and he spends a lot of time getting his pens all lined up, getting everything straight. And he gets his ruler and he's kind of messing about and doing all this sort of stuff. And everybody's writing away, but he's finished. And so he's just like, and then they say, like 30 seconds, 30 minutes or 30 minutes left. And then he realizes, because he sees somebody writing, and then they turn the exam paper over and he realizes the exam was double-sided. And then there's this panic and all the papers flying. I suddenly had a Mr. Bean moment. I went, oh my God, what if the exam paper was double-sided? And you can't get all of the papers back. You can just get the last one that you handed in. Everything else you can't get that back. So I put my hand up again and said, Sally, can you bring me my last paper back, please? I just want to have a look and make sure I'm okay with it. So Sally brings it back. I look at it, wasn't double-sided. But I'm still like, what if the others were double-sided? But anyway, I read it. I looked at what I said. I'm thinking, okay, I'm good with that. Nothing else to add. So I hand it back. In terms of when I finished, and there were people still writing around me, many of whom were on their first or second paper. They're nowhere near finished. There were people still writing at 6 o'clock. I realized when I'd finished, it was 3 hours on the money, which is a goal, that part of the goal I put in my future timeline. So I was like, whoa. So I went upstairs. They got, I'm sure they still have, they had a really lovely restaurant. So I went upstairs and had lunch. About 45 minutes later, the next person to finish, Tim, who was also in our group, he came up. Then I went home. I bought takeaway the night before, so I finished the takeaway. There was an episode of Columbo on, so I watched Columbo and all the rest of it. And I was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. And apparently in the background they were like, who is this Marilyn Devonish, and did she cheat? Because they were trying to figure out, how did I finish in 3 hours? And they said when they were looking at my paper, it was like looking at the textbook. It's just like I was just sitting there in the book and then going, yeah, I'll just write what did it say in the book, I'll just write that down. What else did it say? I'll just write that down. Oh, my ring and my pen are matching. I'll just write that down. And they thought, well, we can't prove that she cheated, so we've got to give her the benefit of the doubt. And I passed with flying colours. And that was the goal I put in my timeline. At that point, I'm like, okay, this stuff with photo reading, it's more than it's more than a fluke. And then of course I was then working for the NLP training company, and there's one particular day, because I was running what you call running the room. So I'm managing the team of coaches and I'm in charge of what's happening, and if there's anything that needs to be escalated, I speak to the main trainer, David Shepherd. So someone comes up to me in an absolute blinder of a temper, and she says, my coach has said this answer isn't right, but so and so and so and so said the same thing and their coach said it's okay. So I look at her test paper and I says, look, I can see why your coach has said this isn't correct, because you missed a few distinctions. No, I haven't. I said, it's in the book. No, it's not. So I'm standing by the resource table. So I just leaned back and I pulled the book. Now, the only time I touched that book was to photo read it a few months before, when I was getting ready to do Master Prac. I said, I know it's in the book. And I opened the book randomly and it opened at the exact page. So I said, well, here it is. So they read it and went, oh, okay, I see what you mean. Thanks. Off they go. The next break, they came back with like half a dozen or so people and said, Marilyn, can you do that thing that you just did? I said, what thing? They said, well, we were talking about something in the book and you opened it at the exact page. And I went, oh. And I was like, oh, yeah. So I then pull another book, and the book was Hypnosis by Tad James. I could, it's in the other room, or if it was behind me, I'll show it to you. I could show you that book. It is brand new. The only time I ever opened that book was to photo read it, and which is the 5-minute thing, and then did some activation, pulling out the kind of key ideas. Barely touched that thing, and this was what, 24 years ago this October. The book is still pristine, almost untouched. So I picked up Hypnosis by Tad James and I said, okay, what are we looking for? If somebody shouts something out randomly, I'm laughing as like, yeah, as if this is good. And I opened the book and everybody looked in and went, oh. It opened at the exact page we were talking about. And then somebody went, how did you do that? And I said, well, I don't know. I haven't even looked at the book. I've just photo read it. Now, we used to sell, I don't know, 1 or 2 photo reading cassette, sets on a training, typically on a prac, Master Prac. And I think we had 5 or 6 of them in stock. Boom. Somebody came up to me and said, oh, Marilyn, can we order some more stock? Is it possible? I said, oh, more stock for what? The photo reading sets, they've all sold out. I said, but we've got loads of them, because that was low. They said, no, they're all gone. And there's a waiting list. And so at that time, there was a company in the UK that also used to supply them. Nowadays, I just ship them, get them directly from the United States. So I called the company. I said, have you got any more photo reading sets? I think they said I think they had 7 or 8. I said, can you just send them all? Because I've got 5 people on the waiting list already. So they send us all that they had. And by the time those arrived, boom, sold out. So I'm then calling back, have you got? They said, no, we haven't got any more. So we then had to put them on back order and send them to people after the training. Those things were selling like hotcakes, because people are like, I want what she's doing. Mind blowing. And at that point, I was like, you know what? This goes beyond random chance. And then that's where the whole idea of like developed, in terms of, I think I'm going to be an instructor. And so I had a day off, because we used to do like, really long days, 27, 29 days, a straight run. So we'd run practitioner, then presenting magically, secret of creating a future. Then we go straight into a master prac, just so you don't have to keep packing up and setting down the room, because it's a lot of work logistically. So it just makes sense to be there and do a straight run. So sometimes I do 29 straight days, and I'd have a day off somewhere in between that, normally half a day here and there. So on one of those days off, I called Learning Strategies Corporation in Minneapolis, and I said, I've been using this thing called photo reading, believe you created it. It's been amazing. How do I learn more? And are there people who teach this? Like, could I learn to teach it to people? And they said, well, yeah. They said, there's an instructor. We only run the instructor training with Dr. Paul, who was Paul Sheely, then he's now Dr. Paul Sheely. They said we run it once a year. And I think then they started doing it twice a year, the March and the September. I don't know how it's structured now, because this was in 2002. So they said, we've got one coming up next week. It's full, because they only take 6 people. But they said someone has just pulled out. They said the course materials, because they print on demand, the course materials are going to print tomorrow. Do you want to take the place? And I was like, oh. And then it just comes up in conversation. They said, where did you do your photo reading certification, as in the weekend workshop that this video is about? And I said, oh, I haven't done it. I've just taught myself from the tapes. And so I was speaking to a lovely lady called Lynette Ayres. So Lynette says, oh, well, taking the weekend class is the first part of the instructor training, because you have to have been through the experience yourself. It makes perfect sense. I was like, oh. And I was thinking, well, it's the middle of the week here. It starts at the end of the middle of the week next week. What are the chances of me finding a photo reading workshop that I can do in a weekend? And lo and behold, they gave me the details of people who teach in London. They said, well, you can see if any of them have a class coming up. This is highly unlikely. I've got a week. One of the people I phoned up was in South London in Brixton. And he said, oh, yeah, I've got a class this week. I'm running it at my house. I was like, what? The chances of that. And it was a Saturday and Sunday. Perfect. So I do his photo reading class, and then a couple of days later I'm on a plane to Minneapolis. And it was that short notice. I didn't have my suitcase had broken because I wasn't planning to go and I hadn't replaced it. I didn't even have a suitcase. So when my friend Paul, who also worked for the trading company, he gave me a lift to the airport, and we packed all my stuff in rubbish bags, refuse sacks, garbage sacks, for those of you in the United States. I put all of my stuff into black bags, put them into his car. We get to the airport. We find a shop, Samsonite, I think it was, that sold suitcases. And we're on our hands and knees, and we're literally just tipping all of my clothes into the suitcase, sit on the suitcase, close it up. And so, you know, when you go through security at airport and they say, did you pack this bag yourself? I was like, yeah. If you just look at that security camera over there, you'll see me packing the bag. That's how short notice it was. And that was in March 2002 that I went over to train with Dr. Paul Sheely, the creator of photo reading, and the lovely Lynette Ayres. So yeah, that's it. So with all of that said, potted history, how did I get here? Why do I love photo reading so much? Why? Oh, and by the way, of course, the Alzheimer's stuff was a thing of the past. Clearly, you know, that happened in a couple of weeks, and I discovered that I'm A-OK by the time I'd done that master practitioner test. The rest, as they say, is history. So where are we now? It was 22 years ago, 22 and a half years ago, coming up to 23 years. My God, how time flies. So yeah, if you want a little bit of a taste of that for yourself, even if it's just tapping into your limitless potential, your genius potential, learning how to access your brain, those wonderful learning styles, connection, rapport with self, your unconscious mind, that might be all you want to use it for. But for me, photo reading is the gift, G-I-F-T, that keeps on giving. And it still blows my mind to this day. It's how I do my presentations. It's how I do my talks. It's how I remember what I want to present when I'm running a webinar, doing a keynote presentation, getting ready and prepping. Like yesterday, a very short notice, I did oh, actually, oh yeah, hold on, I meant to check and see. They haven't phoned me today. I did oh, okay, yeah, cool. So I got a call yesterday from Talk TV saying, can you do an interview at 3:30 about 4-day week? These are some of the articles, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, sure. Now I was doing other stuff. And there are times where I've done a live TV, live radio thing with a couple of minutes notice. And I like Lee Pycroft was saying when she was going for the screen test. Now, I didn't mind map this one. I just basically photo read the articles, pulled out a few key points that I wanted to talk about, made a little note of them on, here we go, Talk TV. I'll show it to you. I don't know if you had to read it. Talk TV, 4-day work week, the 11th of the 11th, 2024. So I didn't mind map this one because I thought it'd just be easier to have this little bit of card. So while I'm doing the live TV interview, there are things that I maybe want to pick up on and share. So I just took that research that I did in about 15-20 minutes and then condensed it down into this. And some of you may have seen the live TV interview yesterday with Ian Collins. We had great fun talking about Labour, the 4-day week. There was something from South Cambridgeshire District Council. There was also the 4-day work week experiment where they worked with 61 organisations. Of those 61, they all experienced benefits. I think it was about 48 of them now still continued, and 18 made it part of company policy. And talking, you know, doing the research with the council, they were talking about the benefits they've seen, and they've saved over £300,000 in that year. And I was like, well, hold on a minute, how could that be possible? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. People are working less, being paid the same, so technically being paid more if you're going to do less time. How do you make those £370,000 worth of savings? I started doing a bit of research around that. so once I've been through the articles, I then started going, right, okay, well, I've seen this, I've seen that. How do I explain that? I need the backstory to that. So started researching into that and just looked at all of the things that they were saying in terms of productivity, continuity, the knowledge base they exist with. Anyway, I could go on, but that was just some research yesterday using the photo reading skills so that I felt comfortable and confident to appear on TV a few hours later and be having a bit of banter and a good old discussion and debate with the host, because typically the host is kind of against the idea and I'm the one who's going, yeah, but hold on a minute. So honestly, photo reading shows up in the most wonderful of ways, and it might just be about relaxation and dealing with stress, anxiety and overwhelm. And I had one of my photo reading attendees, and I then did a coaching program with him, and he was a maths teacher, probably still is, and was studying for, so he's done a master's and he's studying for his PhD. And I was saying, what's the most relaxing thing you do? Because he does martial arts, meditation, was into Qigong, cycling, riding a bike was one of the things he did, both for exercise and relaxation. So he used to cycle to school every day. And I said, what's the most relaxing thing that you do? And he said, photo reading. I was like, I think maybe you misheard me. I said, no. In terms of your life, what's the most? And he said, photo reading. And then it makes perfect sense, because step one of photo reading is about how to get yourself into the state of relaxed alertness, the flow state, where you get that wonderful left and right brain activation. And that's not typically the state that people associate with reading, learning, speaking, presenting, plowing through data. That's not the state but it makes sense because it puts you into the flow state. If you haven't ever read up on it, it's fascinating. So yeah, it does I've been saying this for the last 20 plus years. Photo reading goes way beyond reading. It's life-changing. It's a game changer. No matter what your starting point, if you come with an open mind, a willingness to learn, and an expectation of success, it's game on. So if you want to catch it before the year closes out, so that you hit the new year running and you have a fantastic skill set under your belt that is going to continue to deliver for years and decades to come with that one-time investment, then visit you can go to my main website, transformationstm.com/photo reading. That's where you're just going to see the background information, but I've set up a separate page, which is the one that's just down there, www.zylvie.com/Marilyn Devonish/P/photo reading workshop. And if you can make it on the 22nd to the 24th of November or the 6th to the 8th of December, let me know ASAP. Ping me an email, Marilyn@transformationstm.com, because I've got someone who is super duper keen to do it. And so, yeah, if you want it, do it. Take the plunge. Invest in yourself. If you've got children that you want to bring along, that's cool. You might want to do a little family gathering of it as well, like the family who flew in from Switzerland. So I look forward to working with you if you are ready to, people say game changer, next level, blah, blah, blah. People, I'm often quite sort of, photo reading school, it's really amazing. And other people get angry with me when they arrive on the workshop. The reason they get angry is, well, why didn't you tell me it was all of this? Because I would have come years ago. Because they start thinking about all the ways they could have used it, the way that it would have changed and enhanced and improved their life. So nowadays I say, look, I'm going to tell you how fabulous it is. You can take it, you can believe me or not, you can attend or not, but when you do finally attend, do not come blaming me that I did not tell you about all of the incredible things you can do with photo reading that have got nothing to do with reading, because it's truly a game changer. It changes your life, your mind, your brain, your outlook, even your neurology in ways that I cannot put into words. The marketer could not put it into words. All I can say is look at the testimonials. People are living and breathing proof of the ways that it has changed the world for them. And particularly with the students who are 11, 12, 15, 16 years old, just imagine doing something that gives you a level of confidence and self-belief and self-assurance that takes you through the rest of your life. It really is, as my logo has been for the last, what, 20 odd, well, 24 years now. It's the ripple effect. It really is the ripple effect, because the change, just like the 1-day breakthrough sessions, where my idea was do the 1-day breakthrough session and those changes keep rippling throughout your entire life, and they absolutely do. Photo reading is exactly the same. That one investment, 2.5 days, the rest of your life potentially changes forever. Just put it into practice, and as Mark was saying, JFDI, just do it. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you've made it this far and got to the end of the video, there is, on the page I showed you, the Zilvi page, there is a little mini sale running at the moment. So instead of 888, it's 800. And if you've got to the end of this video, ping me an email if it's in the next 4 days, because today is the what time is it? God, is that a time already? 14:03. So today is the 12th of November 2024. So if you're booking in the next 4 days, ping me an email, and I will and I will send you something a little bit special as well to go along with that. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you know someone who could benefit from photo reading and learning it. Now, if you're abroad and you're like, oh, Marilyn, that sounds amazing. Where I also started with this is there's the home study course, which is created by Dr. Paul Sheely. You can get that from my website, although you have to go now for the version with the digital download. So the client who is saying he's enjoying it and he's not missing the physical product that he never had. I found out yesterday that they've sold out of the physical CDs, because somebody was asking. They said, I want the physical CDs as well. So they sold out of those. So now it's just a digital download. You can order that from my website, transformationstm.com/photo reading. Or I've got the full 3-day photo reading certification class as an on-demand video webinar. So that's on the transformationstm.com site as well. I'll add it somewhere in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, and maybe in the comments if you're watching this on social media. And if you know someone who could benefit from photo reading, even if they can't make it to the one we're running now, please feel free to send them the details. That would be fantabulous. And yeah, if I get around to running another one next year, I will see you there. So thank you for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for sharing. And a massive thank you to every one of you who has walked through my photo reading doors over the last 20+ years. Can't believe it's 22 years now. Thank you so much, because yeah, without you, I wouldn't be able to run them. So thank you. Catch you later. Marilyn Devonish, the Neuro Success Coach and Rapid Transformation Specialist from transformationstm.com. Over and out.